What's up, y'all? We are back again with another banger. We're back again with another video. I appreciate everybody that subscribes, likes my videos. It's free, man. Just go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and give me a like, give me a thumbs up. It's not gonna take anything, away from you, but it means a lot to me. And so, this video is gonna be about how I got out of my upside down auto loan, pretty much. So I did touch on it a little bit in one of my previous videos. I had, graduated from high school. I ended up going to play JUCO football at a school in California. It did not go as planned, and so I've always been big on cutting my losses. I'm not gonna wait until my tank is empty before I realize that this is just not going in the direction that it's supposed to. So I pretty much fled, man. I left in the middle of the night, and I drove from LA all the way to Florida with my friend Nick, and we did not stop once, man. We were so sick and tired of being sick and tired, and at that point we were willing to just do anything to get away from that school. It was LA Pierce and Woodland Hills. And so when I got back home, I couldn't get enrolled back into college because we left at such an odd time within the semester. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to real estate school. I'm gonna get my real estate license. I'm gonna make a lot of money. I just wasn't mature enough or had the information that I have now to make right decisions when I was given that opportunity. And so I went to real estate school, got my license, joined a brokerage of a friend of mine's. And so they made it pretty easy for me, man. All I had to do was go to the houses, show them. If the customer wanted to buy it, I would have to call a lady in the office. She would submit all the documentation for me, and then within a couple weeks to a month, I would get a check, right? And so I sold 2 houses. I think I got around $20,000, and at 19 years old, man, $20,000 had me feeling like I was on top of the world. And then on top of that, I'm like investing in stocks and shit. And so, I really felt like I was on top of the world, which led to me making super dumb financial decisions. One of those dumb financial decisions being buying a Dodge Challenger. It was Destroyer Gray. I still remember it to this day. I remember walking to a dealership. I had about $10,000 in cash on me. I was 19 years old, so I didn't really know what to say, but I know I said everything that would possibly give a salesperson the upper hand on pretty much like robbing me in every way possible. I just was naive. I didn't know half the things that I know now, and I know so much things now that I'm almost grateful for the dumb things that I've done because I know people my age that are still doing these dumb things. So I'm glad that I was blessed to hit my head and do dumb shits early, because I feel like once you can kind of realize like how you, in a way, is becoming your own worst enemy, you can start moving in a direction of prosperity, right? So I bought this car. I put $10,000 down. I was young. I didn't really have strong credit. I had good credit, but it wasn't strong. I had like a 780 or something at this time, but that was built primarily from having like a credit card and paying all my payments on time, and then also having a higher credit limit. But I didn't have anything like auto loans or like real big responsibilities that would make my credit strong. I had good credit. I didn't have strong credit. So at the time I got hit with something crazy. I think it was like 10% interest. This was a while ago. And so at 19 years old, my car payment was $700. Now I never missed a payment. I've always been a hustler. I've always been a hard worker. And so all my bills was always paid. But things kind of shifted when I decided to leave real estate, simply because the people that I was working with was demanding so much from me. And like I said, I wasn't mature enough to really be willing to, go and show houses on a Saturday. All my friends were out having fun. And it's funny now because ever since I was 20 to now, like I've been that person that could care less about going out and having fun. But at that time, when I had the greatest opportunity, it was the only thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to go and have fun with my friends. I wanted to go out. And so, having to meet with potential buyers and, you're not getting paid right away, you're hoping that you can turn this lead into a buying customer. I wasn't mature enough to deal with that big of a responsibility. And so I ended up leaving real estate. I have the car at this point, and then I started doing like moving, right? And then I started working with a company that there was a staging company. So this is still within like real estate, like all the leads that I was receiving for moving was kind of leveraged from the people that I knew in the real estate business. And so I ended up linking up with a company that did staging. And then I started doing that for a while. And then I kind of realized like, holy shit, like there's a lot of money in moving, but it's consistent money because, people are always moving, whether it's from an apartment to an apartment or they just bought a new house. People are always moving. It might take me 30 days to get a paycheck from someone that bought a house, but I can go and get paid every single day if I can find someone that's moving. And so I kind of went that route. During the same time, I decided to go back to school. And so I enrolled at UCF. And I've always been into money, not necessarily just making it, but just understanding how it works. And so I went to UCF, I enrolled, and my major was finance. And so as time progresses and I'm going through coursework and I'm learning more about financings, I'm starting to realize how big of a financial mistake that I made when I purchased this car. I started learning, how to, calculate how much interest you'd be paying at the end of your term, how bad my interest rate really was. And once I was becoming aware of these things, I had like an oh shit moment where I was like, I really screwed myself when I went and bought this car. I believe at the end of my 60-month term, I would have been paying like $20,000 in interest. Now, $20,000 can go get you a Honda Accord, man. So I'm pretty much paying for this Challenger, and then I'm paying in interest a Honda Accord. That's two cars that you're paying for, and people get blindsided about a monthly payment being manageable, not realizing like the bigger picture and how they're really setting themselves behind by paying $20,000 more for something that, to me is just silly, right? So, I'm learning more about finances, and I'm learning that, damn, like I made a really bad financial decision. And so I started researching like how do I get out of this upside down loan? Now, I came across a video of a guy that pretty much said to go and drive the car into a lake. That was too risky for me. I don't like to play those type of games with my life. I believe I have a strong future, and so driving my car into a lake and committing fraud was definitely not an option. But that was a super funny video. Shout out to him. The other video I found was a guy that pretty much was in a similar situation, and he pretty much went from dealership to dealership, having them outbid one another to get, to pretty much close the gap between what his payoff would be versus like what he was still responsible for the vehicle. So pretty much what that meant, or what happened was, in my scenario, same method, I went to 5 different dealerships, and at each dealership, first I started at the first dealership. They gave me an offer, which was, of course, was the lowest offer. And, I took that paper to the second dealership, then to the third dealership, fourth, all the way till the point that I got to the dealership that actually purchased the car. Now, at each dealership that you go to, you're pretty much getting them to outbid the previous dealership. And so, you start at 19,500. You get one dealership to bump it up to, 20,500. And then you take that paper that they give you to the next dealership. And sometimes the dealership will give you a hard time like leaving with the paper. So sometimes you almost have to like somehow hide the fact that you're trying to leave with the paper. But I was successfully able to take all 5 papers with me to pull this off. And so by the time that I got to the last dealership, I think we had went from, and don't quote me from this was 4 years ago, from 19,500 or 20,000 all the way up to like 24, right? And so what that allowed me to do was pay less amount on the payoff, because say if your payoff is, $30,000, but someone's only willing to pay 23 for the car, you're responsible for 7,000 in the case that you want to get rid of the car. Most dummies go and finance another car, and then they pretty much roll over that debt onto a new debt. And then, by the time that they realize that they have bought, 4 cars but only received one, it's already too late. And so, so 30,000, they only want to give you 23, and so you have to come up with 7. So what you're trying to do by going to, each dealership is close that gap of how much money you would have to come out of pocket to pretty much be able to walk away from this upside down load. Now, why would you do something like this? Now, in my case, like I told you guys, I was by the 60th month, if I would have kept my car, I would have paid almost $20,000 in interest. Now, I don't know about you guys. I do not like working enough to throw away $20,000, right? I cannot stomach paying $20,000 more for something than it's truly worth. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, you have to know how to, when to cut your losses. I decided to leave the JUCO that I was at playing football and come back and just get my degree. That was a loss that I was willing to take. That was a loss that I had to cut off. I know people my age that's still trying to do this JUCO shit with kids. Like, dude, like at some point you have to just man up and let that shit go and figure out how you're going to provide not only for yourself, but your family. And so cut my losses. So I closed the gap enough to where I had to come out $5,000 out of my pocket to be able to walk away from that car. I'd rather pay $5,000 right now than $20,000 over a 60-month period. It doesn't matter the duration. $20,000 is $20,000. $5,000 is $15,000 less than that. I'll bite the bullet. I'll take my loss, right? So I was able to get to the point to where they pretty much bid it up, one another, to the point to where I only had to pay $5,000 to let the car go. And so I pretty much gave them $5,000, walked out the dealership with a backpack on my back with all the contents that I had in the car, and caught an Uber home. So from that period, that was pretty much like the awakening for me. Like, I've never financed a car from that point, and I don't think I would ever finance a car. And so I went about 8 months that I did not have a car. Luckily, I was able to use my mom's car. If I couldn't use her car, I would just catch an Uber. Paying for an Uber is still less than having a car payment, paying for insurance, wear and tear, fuel. And so sometimes you just got to make sacrifices. If I had to walk because my mom's car was unavailable, that's what I did. Life is all about being able to just find a way, man, on making things happen. And so fast forward, 8 months later, I've been working my ass off. I'm, night in, night out. Like, I had a job at a hotel. I was working overnight, and then during the day I was working at Panera. I also had a warehouse job for a friend of mine. His dad owned a company called Wonder World. So I didn't really have any gap in between my hustle. Like, it was all gas, no brakes. And so I was able to save up. I was able to save up about $15,000. And then I purchased a car from a friend of mine. Her name was Carolyn. For $14,000. Now, that car was, she had all the paperwork for all the maintenance that was done to it. So I didn't really have an issue, coughing up the $14,000, but I had the peace of mind that this was a one-time payment. I didn't have a monthly expense that I had to worry about. And now I have my own wheels. I can get back to building, right? I don't have to, be worried about walking, borrow my mom's car. I had my own car, so now I can focus back on building, one-time payment. And then I had that car for about 3 or 4 years. And then I unfortunately got into an accident about a year ago and totaled that car. It was fully covered, comprehensive, so I got back every penny that I paid for that car, because I paid $14,000 for that car, but it was really worth about $20,000 at that time. So I had some positive equity there. So when the car was damaged and totaled, I was able to receive the same amount that I paid for it because of that positive equity. And then I took the $14,000, I spent $5,000 of it on a car that I bought from the auction. And that's the car that I've been whipping to this day, man. And the funny thing is, like I mentioned in the last video, I make a lot more money than I did when I had the nicer car. And it means less to me. Like, I have no need per se to drive anything flashy or super nice right now, because I'm in my building stage. And I think for a lot of men, like myself, that you know, fall victim to wanting to drive the nice and flashy car because they want to holler at females with it, or they want to give off this, you know, social impression. Man, this ain't the time for that shit, bro. This is not the time for this shit. We are grinding right now. We're building right now. And it's going to be a lot of people that, unfortunately, when they get to 30, they're going to realize, damn, man, I done fucked off so much money on dumb shit and I can't get it back. And so this video is pretty much just a warning to those that have the need to go and finance, you know, something that they truly can't afford, just for the you know, the feeling that it brings. Because let me tell you something, man. After a year of having a car that was once new, it's an old car now. We don't even hit like it used to hit. You know, the shit really only gets you going for the first couple weeks that you have it, and then before you know it, it's just like, it's just like anything else, you know. It was once new and now it's old, you know. And so it's not worth having something that, you know, loses value so quick, but yet you're having to pay for it so long, and it just doesn't hit the same, you know. So you guys comment, like, subscribe to my video, share it, and y'all tell me what you think, man. Y'all gotta be a little bit more aware of the decisions you make, and make sure that, you know, they don't have ever long lasting effects on your finances, man. So y'all tap in my next videos. Appreciate you guys for tuning in with me. Peace.